Okay, hello, welcome to Pixels Plays Riven, the sequel to Myst. I know I said I was going to do Chrono Cross, but, well, the mic down here. Okay. I know I said I was going to play Chrono Cross. I might play that tonight. I don't know. Depends on my mood. And when I get to the end of the game, normally I don't want to finish it because I'm so engaged with the story and what's, kind of a bit like the Doctor from, uh, Doctor Who, one of the episodes he tears at the last page of a book because he um, never wants to, it doesn't want the story to end. So, but anyway, in this case, it's because I'm kind of so disappointed with like the way the story has shaped up, and yeah, I'll it's worth having it as a separate video. Like if I don't, so to say, even regardless of whether I finish the game, I might do a vlog just sort of covering all of my thoughts on Chrono Cross. But anyway, right now we're doing Riven, which is a game that's much more dear to my heart overall. But anyway, we're switching things up a bit because the whole using the PlayStation camera was kind of a bust. Didn't really work out as well as I'd hoped. Especially as I'd like to continue going with actual physical paper notes for a nostalgic feeling. It's probably going to work out better to take advantage of my laptop's touchscreen and use a bit of Microsoft Paint because I don't know how to do this in Photoshop without like getting a special pen. I can use just a regular rubber pen. I believe it works because it's like I think it's like conductive, so it able to conduct the electricity from my fingers to the rubber tip. And yeah, anyway, you don't need a tutorial on like how that works. But anyway, we're going to start by talking about the Dunning numeral system and working out all of the numbers from 1, I think, until 25. I think it's like as far as you can really get with the knowledge that you are given. So first we have number 1. And actually, we can talk about, I guess, like there's basically 4 different. It's a base 5 system, as I explained before, but it does have 4 basic symbols. Like we have the frame, obviously here. And excuse my already poor drawing skills, enhanced by the clumsiness of a capacitive touchscreen. Yeah, we have the basic frame. Then we add numbers, and we're going to show numbers by themselves to start out with here. So we have the 1, the 2, which is a circle shape, 3, which is something like a less than symbol, or greater than, I guess. It would be greater than. That's greater than. Yeah, maybe calling it the less than symbol. And we have a it's not quite that big, but anyway, we have 4, which is like a little a right angle basically. So on the first run, they're all kind of in the frame. So let's just Control Z our way back. That's my cursor. That's what the little dot there is. That dot is actually a. So number 1, we just have the line down the middle. And then for 2, we have a little crescent shape. For 3, we have that greater than symbol. It kind of looks like a K when you add it to the thing. So for reason we have 4. We have a little right angle in the corner, the bottom right corner. So then we move on to 5, the most important symbol. Okay. Apparently I have a way to make this full screen, but it's only for viewing purposes. It's read only basically when you put it into full screen, which is kind of dumb. But anyway, we have 5, and 5 is I think this is maybe a little bit elongated here, but you basically rotate the 1 90 degrees, and you get 5. And you start the pattern. Then, actually, that's kind of I guess like the empty frame probably would be 0. But it's not like 0 plus 1 at this point. It's more like, you know, when it's upright, you know, it's a 1. When it's well, with vertical, it's 1. When it's horizontal, it's 5. So then you get into 6, which is kind of a cross. So you start with the 5, and the 5 plus 1 is 6. Okay, so I wish I could use the arrow keys to move in the frame here. Like, that's just not great. So we get into 7. And of course we start with 5, and 5 plus 2. So that makes 7. I don't know what that is. Sorry, I had to attend to something quick here. I just learned I got some like tax credit or something. So, that's neither here nor there. We're at 8, which is again the 5. Yeah, I need to watch where my hand is. And then the 3, which is 8. When we get to 9, which of course is 5 plus 4. Then we get to 10, which is our multiple of 5. So we take the symbol for 2, and then rotate that 90 degrees to the bottom here, and we get our 10. So we're going to move over this way. We got a bunch of little scribbles at the bottom from me trying to see how, no, that's a little too far down. Okay, so we're gonna work out some more digits here. These are gonna be handy a bit later. So we get 11, that's actually really handy. Then we get 12. $13. 14. Then we take the symbol free and then rotate that to get our 15. And that should look something like this. So, we'll work our way up to $16. $17. 18, which is kind of both. I sure it quite looks like this. Exactly, but it's something like that. 19, and finally we get 20, which I might actually have to look at the guide for, because just imagining it in my head is a little tricky. Okay, so yeah, that's exactly what it looks like, except it's not as scribbly. So yeah, 20 is a little different. It's just a little harder to imagine, perhaps just because it's a little harder to imagine. Yeah, it's up in this corner. Because it's usually at the bottom, and this is actually at the top, so it looks. But I think it's the same rotational factor. It's just that it brings us to a different corner, so it's a little harder to envision without cheating a little bit. So we're gonna go down. We're gonna work our way up. The highest number we can really easily extrapolate. from what we know, which is 25, although really 24 is the highest we can really extrapolate naturally, but this guide does show us what 25 looks like. So we're just going to go off of that. And we might potentially see a 25, depending on how the game goes. So let's look at the guide for some preciseness here. Like we already know what we're doing, but okay, yeah. So the one actually does not come down from here. So let's see here. So it's like, yeah, it's basically like that. So this is 21. $22. Now we're almost done. 23. We'll just $24. And then we have no idea what to do for 25. But according to the guidebook, this is what 25 looks like. Yep, okay. Actually, I got 24 wrong. Because I was looking at that instead of that. So, that's 24. Then wasn't paying close enough attention. 25 is basically like an X. So let's see if we can this full screen. It's very zoomed out. I don't know if we can pinch and okay. There we go. We can. No, we can't really pinch and zoom. We can pinch and. So let's zoom out a little bit here. There we go. Actually, there you go. So those are our Dunedin rules, all worked out. Simply through extrapolating what we already learned. So with that out of the way, we can really bring up a chat here, hopefully. There we go. We're going to do a little bit of a different setup than we did before. Let's roll our intro, actually, quick. We had a very extensive pre-intro. Now we're going to go into the intro. Okay. Bring the chat back up. I'm not gonna really need too much help from the chat. Should we start from the animal room? Because there's something I missed. I think I did a lot of stuff. There's like 4 minutes apart, so we're gonna oh, I muted my. There we go. PC audio is going in fine. Actually, we're gonna see if we can. This is. I have some notes about the different symbols, but we're gonna. There is a sound I think we could hear in the gallows, but we didn't. Okay, so I think it might be somewhere around here. That's just a giant axe. Might just be a giant axe. Okay. It is here on the island somewhere. Okay. I'm gonna look at the guide again because it's in the jungle. Okay, like this is. Isn't this a jungle? Like the jungle proper, like the closest thing we have to the jungle proper. I actually have a picture of it, so I don't see any large daggers. I don't remember there being anything like right here. Exactly. So I am a smidge confused. I have to actually wait for the cutscene to play. So this is actually a spot where the guide is not helpful at all. Um, I mean, we could figure it out for the process of elimination, sort of. But, but... I'm gonna try to look this up on my smartphone, because there's... No. Let's see, okay, so apparently it's it's in a jungle, but not in the part of a jungle that I this first. Go ahead and okay. Let me check again. I might be completely wrong. Wait, no. Okay, maybe it is the lower. Yeah, I'm just dumb. So it's just a large dagger, but perhaps it's a smaller dagger than I thought it was. So let me. It looks like the hilt of a dagger. Oh, there's a giant dagger. Aha! Okay. That is the sound of a 7. That is the number 4. So we've got 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, we just don't know what number 1 is. So, we're just going to put... We already know the symbol for 1, so just question mark, question mark, question mark. Now 2 is the symbol right here. There was a buzzing sound that we're going to say it's the beetle or scarab or whatever you want. I'm going to draw the actual like iconography. We're gonna call it a sunner. We just know that's what it's called. If it's ever actually said to us, that's what they've come to be called. They're like the basic sort of things. Then we have Um, so 4. Yeah, then the 4 is uh, color 2. We need to make it white. What? Or is it? What happens when we left click? Maybe. Okay. Well, that isn't helpful. Okay. We're just gonna. Okay, this is the frog. Okay. Maybe this is the center. Getting ahead of myself. And of course we have 5, which is we're actually just gonna call it the work. Minigame knowledge, but like so we've got this is probably the most well hidden path. Like you have to see like there's a giant knife there. It's kind of like for the back, kind of, and yeah, it's off the beaten trail, literally and figuratively. So okay, let's go back to where we were before. And he doesn't want to relive this roller coaster section anyway, so. Okay. Here's one of the more kind of complex puzzles here. We got this thing which controls where our power goes to. I think where we want it to go is right now might be this middle thing. So right now, this what we're considering is I believe a thermostat type big as red, so I believe it's too hot to go inside. I see it's boiling. All these doesn't seem to do anything yet. Drains the water. I actually see any water coming out of the pipe. I don't know if that's because they couldn't finish the effector, because that's not what it does directly. I don't know. It's still too hot in there. Oh, there we go. Now that's doing something. Raising a platform. But it's still hot. Still like heal here. Maybe we need to actually turn this to a different direction. No, it's still this puzzle is very trial and error. Wait, now it's doing something. It's getting cold water. The water isn't boiling, so no, it is starting to boil. But this thing is up. I don't know if that's different. Okay, so we're back to original state. So that's still raised and lowered. I can't remember if it started out raised or lowered. It doesn't drain it. As being stand currently. Water coming back in. It's boiling again. Can I skip the cutscene? Maybe there's something else I can do. Maybe there's another like pipe or something we can fiddle with. Yeah. I can't do anything with this right now. There's can't fiddle with do anything with this pipe. If it just takes us back. Oops, the paper shredder, maybe. Oh, it's probably a log shredder. It's a way logs are meant to. I mean, it wasn't running when we came in. I don't know if I've ever actually done that before. So yeah, I don't know how to turn the heat off. Okay, we can come around here. I don't know if it does anything. Probably. Wait, there's this valve over here. That turns the heat off. Cool. Now we can go inside. I don't think there was anything you can do with the water in. Yeah. The water's still in there, so we need to drain the water. think we need to power this again. Pumps need to be... we have the pumps need to have power, I'm assuming. Okay, so that should do it. Like all that confusing just because I didn't notice one lever. Okay, so go through here. Really dark. Here we go. Give herself a shortcut. And we'll proceed. I believe there's something of a trick here. We close the door and open one or two different passages. Okay, it's two different passages. This is another fire marble dome. And we have yet another door hidden behind another door. We actually did it this time. Okay. This one has... I can't really do anything yet. Because we don't know. We can show what this looks like. So we have a bunch of sliders. And it looks like maybe a book inside. We have a little button that doesn't do anything. We have these sliders. But yeah, we don't, so let's actually go down this way and see what we have here. We have some kind of a place here. Can't remember how exactly this works. We have a fan here, which we can't really do anything with while it's spinning. I can put these little pellets on there. Maybe we just doesn't really do anything yet, but just leave for now. It's locked. We have a bridge which leads us to believe we have yet another shortcut we can create for ourselves. And we can't really do anything here. Yet. Oh, okay, we can. We can open that one door. Back to the rotating room, so we have all the doors in the rotating room unlocked. This will allow us to can't really do anything quite yet, but we're gonna explore regardless, just because we can. Not having to deal with floating screens is really just any configuration where we get a path from I don't know what the P stands for. Read the L. Passage. L is for locked door. No, unlocked. We can get from the locked room to here, which should probably just any configuration where we can get both door and in the locked room together. So I'm not sure if there's any. You can't have the cave and a dome together, so let's keep on. We had to listen for it to rotate. It's kind of a shame that like we can't just click the button from here. I don't know why they did it like that. I guess because what I imagine is that they just didn't have time to animate, to do an animation from this angle. Because for every time they had like already have 2 areas where they had to like animate. Actually, I'm not sure if they animate it from the cave either. So it's like like they had like the one animation from like the front where they show the thing rotating, and then they realized, oh shit, we had to animate it from every side, so they just like made it so that you just look at the button and there's sound effects. This is a very time-consuming way to get to what is effectively at this point a dead end. Like I could solve the puzzle right now, but more would be the fun in that. So this is the fire marble dome puzzle. A bunch of dots that we can put down, but we don't know where to put them. So we're going to leave it for now. Is there a button here? Oh, there is a button. We're just gonna move this a couple more times. And the cool thing is we can actually skip it from here, or as I don't think we can in the other one. We just walk our way back across this insanely long bridge. So I think by now, one of the problems is going to be solved. Okay, so we just set this up correctly, I think. Yeah, okay, so we need to use this to reset the trap. Oh, we already have the pellet there. Okay, I think we got that set up right. Now we have to leave with okay. I don't know if we send power that away. I don't know. Okay, there we go. Okay, here that should help us. Okay, we're gonna I turned the vent off. Okay. We need a little more time. I swear this does something. Um, okay. So, we got another journal to read. Okay, this is the Journal of Gen. The latest ink formulation has proven a failure. Even when writing in my most promising books, I obtain only the barest glimmer of a connection. It is frustrating to expend so much effort creating a blank book only to end up destroying it when it doesn't work. There are days when the lab is uncomfortably warm from the flames of these failed attempts. The further I refine each element, the formulations of the inks and papers, the physical dimensions of the books, the more I realize that the list of potential combinations is nearly infinite. It is during moments like this that I despair. Without access to Dunny, my long-term goals may never be accomplished. Nevertheless, there are avenues of research which remain to be explored. I am discontinuing regular observations of the stars beneath the fissure, although I've been able to track the dark cloud-like formations that migrate through the star field and have proven that their paths are cyclical. Without proper instrumentation, it is pointless to continue. My general theory concerning the nature of the fissure has remained unaltered since it first appeared. It seems that the fabric of this age has been breached in a way that permits matter to be hospitably exchanged between two distinct but overlapping spaces, much like a link. But the apparent physical contradictions surrounding this juncture defy logical reason. The great column of wind that was formed when the fissure first appeared suggests a vacuum as one might expect in space. Yet my early experimentations revealed the presence of a breathable atmosphere. The Atris and Catherine threw themselves into the void is further evidence that it might be safe to travel, but without knowing its true nature, I cannot take the risk myself. It is also difficult to say what would happen if I were to reopen it after so long, but it is likely that the results would be catastrophic given the changes that have occurred in this age since that time. Maintenance on the steam vent caps completed February 10th, 1883. I'm extremely pleased with the continued success of the system. I believe the construction to have been true to the dedicated designs of my memory. Another example of the superiority of Dunny technology. It's ironic that Atris and Catherine unwillingly provided me with such a convenient source of power. As with many of my views over the years, my thoughts regarding the origin of the fissure have changed. I have recently begun to wonder whether it was actually an unexpected byproduct of the changes Catherine and Atris wrote into this age during their escape. Certainly by casting their linking book into the void, they trapped me here quite effectively, but I do not believe that Atris intended the book to be lost in this manner. Much better to destroy it than risk the possibility of it falling into unknown hands. Also, had they foreseen the creation of the fissure, they would surely have thought that the vacuum it created would eventually consume the atmosphere of this planet, a fate which Catherine undoubtedly would have deemed unacceptable. What? That's not the end. For her homeworld. if I had not been there to supervise the construction of the seal, this is most certainly what would have happened, for the villagers were too frightened to even approach the vortex without my urging. I hold on to the belief that it was an unintended consequence of their writing for another reason as well. I prefer to think that my son had meant for this age to be merely a prison for me, rather than a death sentence. Um, May 14th, 1883. The construction of the imager has proceeded without fault. It is interesting to see how easily I've been able to adapt Dunny technology to mimic that of the Ahmad. In some ways, the similarities between the two cultures was striking. And I'm doing this again. At least it remembers where I left. I wonder if perhaps there had been communication or commerce between the two cultures in earlier times. Maybe Keda's people were even descendants of the Dunny. It pleases me to think so. Now, it's possible that if I were somehow able to supply the books with a power source of sufficient magnitude, I could suppress the variance enough to facilitate a solid link. It is doubtful that the geothermal cap generators could provide such an enormous surge. Perhaps I could adapt the fire marbles. I have been cataloging the natural elements of this age for nearly 30 years now. Yet still I continue to find evidence of Badani's preoccupation with 5. As a boy, it was very clear to me that the number 5 had a special significance to the Dunny society. From the ancient heraldic emblems of the something elite to the humble homes of the commoners. I don't know what that can't read this chicken scratch. Writing elite? That doesn't look like it would be writing. It looks like an L. The Sulling elite? Or Sulling elite? I don't know what that Sulling? Whatever. It was ubiquitous. Its presence here is obviously a direct reflection of the minds that designed the text that I used to compose this age. Further proof that though their art of Dunny, further art the Dunny masters were indeed creating the marvelous worlds they wrote, and not, as many have mistakenly thought, merely building links to pre-existing worlds. While most of my constructions have been based on Dunny designs, I see now that the ones that I have imbued with the power of 5 are clearly the most beautiful, the most perfect, and I believe the most structurally sound. Okay, so here is something. I am still attempting to determine how the Dunny color symbology reflects the superior design principle. Although superficially it is based on a 6 color system, I am convinced that there has to be a deeper connection to 5. I will continue to investigate. Okay, so we're reaching a point where we need to make another note here. a circle with a dot. A vertical eye with a dot. And then I believe the circle was for Boiler Island. I believe it was yellow. I'm gonna say yellow for now. Maybe it's a question mark, because there's like a yellow and there's kind of an orange. And they're very similar, so I finally made a breakthrough. I have succeeded in modifying the fire marbles to generate enough power to hold a descriptive linking book in a stable matrix. I have linked to a new world. It is a harsh and desolate age, but it nonetheless well suited for my purposes. So I've designated my whatever third. Someone could tell me what exactly the number is. This is more advanced dunny numerology. Possibly, although, well, if it's like just two numbers next to each other, then this should be. But I believe it's a higher number than that even. Like it's in the hundreds, I think. So I don't know. But the first number would be they're connected together would be 90 or 9 and 8. So yeah, 98 erd. I don't think that's how it works. But I highly doubt that's how it works. But it's a 9 and 8 sort of strung together. So in a manner of speaking. But I don't know if that's actually what we're seeing. By studying it, I closely, I believe it will eventually be able. I will eventually be able to create a more appropriate. Oh, for the love of. Age for us to settle on. Or resettle on. The actual number of the age is not important enough for me to note on. For now, I will build an office and set up my living quarters there in order that I may conduct my experiments in safety and without distraction. I must admit that I am proud of my work. To think that in such primitive conditions I have accomplished in 29 years what it took the original Dunny centuries to achieve. Note: repair outer wear for work on this world. The goggles may need to be redesigned altogether. April 13th, I have begun construction, and that's 1884, so it's another year. I've begun construction on a series of link sites for each island that will connect Riven with my new office on his new age. The Survey Guild has finally completed the site location for each island according to my exact specifications, and installation of the domes is underway at last. There's that symbol again that we see inside the dome with the I don't know if you can really see that, but it shows the various islands. It's kind of mirrored from what I have, but or huh, there's a slightly different order to it. But maybe it's just upside down or something. Maybe. Just trying to figure out. Yeah, it's like a slightly different rotation from what the. So it's more like on the side. Yeah. It's more like this. But yeah, it's. But the locations of the symbols relative to each other is identical. Work on the central power source got off to a bit of a bad start, I'm afraid, but the pace has picked up considerably since then, and I anticipate no further delays. I'm looking forward to finally having a civilized mode of transportation. How far are we into it? We're about an hour and a half. Okay. Due to the rebels' continued services, I've decided to install a coded access system into all of the domes, and here we have the combination for the domes, but it's not really going to do us any good because it's not powered yet. But we're going to write down our numbers here, copy them down, and we're going to figure out what they are. Got this, then we've got it should be going off memory. I may guess at these. These are progressively larger numbers because this is a slider. I can work off my notes kind of a little bit to on the first this is a randomly generated number, so your playthrough will be something entirely different. And this is a little bit angled, but whatever. So this is a 7. We already know that from our main original notes. This should be quite a bit further along. It should be 2 plus or 3. It's not really addition anymore. It's more complicated than that. Okay, so this would be 15, I think. Yeah. So this is 15 down there plus 2. So this should be 17, I think. I will actually check it against the guide, probably. I can check it against my notes, but that would be a little complicated. This is 20 plus 1, so 21, and 22, 23, so that's it's interesting. Actually, I could really I just look it up on my notes directly here. Okay, so you can circle numbers in red. So 7. Then it's 15. 17. So 7, 17. 21. 22. And 23. So yeah. So 7, 17, 21, 22, 23. Yep. Okay, so we've gotten, and we'll put this. Fire marble code. We're actually going to save. Okay. So June 7th, I caught one of my assistants looking over this journal today. I'm glad I've chosen to write it in a language they cannot decipher. Note, discuss security with each guild master. No problem expected from maintenance, educators, and surveyors. Question the bookmakers and builders more closely. October 24th. Today I heard several more reports of spirit sightings by some of the villagers. It seems that under Catherine's leadership, the rebels, or the Black Moiety as the villagers obstinately insist on referring to them, have attained a new level of sophistication in their terror tactics and have renewed their campaign to intimidate the villagers into joining them, playing upon their shared superstitions. The villagers are certainly susceptible to this form of coercion, especially given of late the rebels' increasing acts of vandalism and theft. January 15th, 1887. Yatram. This is actually what the frog is called. Let's see, Yatram. Traps have been steadily fruitful this year. Apparently, the breakup of the island has not adversely affected their subterranean ecosystems. Unfortunately, I imagine the rebels are experiencing a similarly generous harvest. No shortage of poison for their darts this season. Such morbid issues aside, the sudden Availability has allowed me to refine a particularly pleasant extract for my pipe, one that is smoother than any of the others from recent years. March 29th, chemical analysis of one of the rebel knives has yielded curious results. Its composition contains elements that are unlike anything I've encountered on the islands. It appears they have access to a resource of which I am unaware, perhaps a mine or an uncharted island. That's a moiety dagger. Note, most of the knives have been found on the south side of the village. This is the same area in which there have been reports of people mysteriously disappearing. I think a closer inspection of the area is warranted. Not unwarranted. The fact that they have the distinctive knives as a sign of their presence concerns me. They're growing more bold and seem to no longer fear discovery of their hideout. The latest measurements indicate that the recent trend has continued. The movement of the islands has slowed tremendously. My previous estimates predicted a total collapse in approximately 3 months, but with the new figures, I am uncertain. I have nearly finished writing the next age, which is different combination numbers, and I have every faith that it will indeed be a safer place for us to relocate to. Yet it would be helpful to know what has caused the halt in this age's breakup. Is it possible that it is stable after all? If so, I must discover how this age differs from my less successful attempts. My examinations of the other age have thus far proven inconclusive. Or perhaps someone is repairing the damage to the fifth age. If so, it would almost certainly be Atris's doing. I have reluctantly decided to abandon my experiments into the behavior of the water of this age, as there are more pressing matters on which I must now concentrate, leaving me little time for such speculative research. For future reference, however, my investigations up to this point have revealed the following. I believe the remarkable properties of the water to be caused by a life form that resides in it, specifically a type of bacteria. I am imagining a motile unicellular organism. But one structure is capable of holding bits of water whose combined effect, via surface tension, a stronger force, causes the composite body of water to move in response to heat. Prolonged exposure to extreme heat, for example, a period of extended boiling, seems to kill the bacteria, which would explain its dramatic aversion to heat sources. Unfortunately, these theories are still not fully tested, and I remain ignorant both of its deeper nature and its possible uses, although eventually he does figure out uses. And creating tunnels for the water and also like for the entrances into the submarine. July 6th, an exciting development. Last night, a squad of maintainers stumbled upon a vulnerable scout and obtained from him a most incredible device. It is a crystal that somehow powers these flawed linking books, much as my own system does, but with an obvious advantage. It's small and weighs only a few pounds, making it completely portable. Catherine must have fabricated the device before I captured her, obviously with an explicit dunny schematic that she must have brought with her to this age. If only I had access to such a document all these years. Regardless, I am now can now concentrate solely on the writing of ages and need no longer worry about building elaborate power suppliers for each new book I write. This is a sobering reminder, however, that I must continue to seek an avenue to Dunny. Regaining access to the resources there may be crucial to the completion of my mission. Yes. probably the crystal placed around the linking panel. Okay, so we finally finished reading that. Here's another thing. Just a little note. July 28th, 1887. Last week, while monitoring the situation of the villagers from the scope in my survey room, I observed one of the natives swim out to a small object that appeared to be floating, but anchored, near the entrance to the bay. I ordered the object removed from the water for inspection. Several days later, however, I was surprised to see another floating there. The missing object had apparently and quite mysteriously been replaced with a new one overnight. I've long been aware of the existence of similar artifacts on the villagers' island, but have paid them little notice until now. Tomorrow I shall send everyone to catalog the others. This is actually the one. Really. So we know where to find it once we I can't really do anything with this. Looks like got some like nuts and some kind of kettle. Look at the probably another indication of 5 as a foundational element of this age. Maybe something for creating paper properly. Probably for pressing books, I imagine. You see how the water reacts to heat. Got the corpses of your trams. Got various things in these drawers, some eggs. And I can't open any of the other drawers. Petty. These are like for a pipe, maybe. So the mechanism for the tram trap, which hopefully will be able to so we can open this door. That's this is the thing that makes these burning failed book attempts. Not quite burned all the way through. We can see an empty linking panel. Okay, so let's just check and see if we've caught anything. Oh, looks like we might have. Yep. Yep, if you remember that sound from earlier is a sound further indicating that we were right about the frog symbol being our let's see if we can't open this sucker up. So 25, 24, 23. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. 17, and then only thing that left is blank. We can't do anything with it. And, step on this little button. Can't do anything here yet. Show that the combination works. We've done everything we can do here right now. I believe this will take us to the next island. On our tour. Should give us some additional hints. Okay, it's a survey island. see how. I'm gonna try at least make this this is something that I don't know if I'll be able to actually do on my yeah, we see these are schematics of the 5 islands plus yeah. So we hit these and we get a water-based schematic of which isn't necessarily all that helpful, but I believe this is tied to our other things, so leave it this here. Is a jungle island, which has a the crater in the middle, which I think is where all the homes are. I think we activate that. And here's another area where we have some dunny text. May have okay, this one says, our Lord Gun has instructed us to learn all. Here's all the dunny text in the game. Kind of see that at least the stuff has been translated. Yeah. So we'll go in here, and you see we have the this little map here. This gives us a topographical map of the island. I may need to actually consult the guide on this a little bit. So this is going to be very involved. I don't know if I have um, I don't have any graph paper on me. Um, because that's what I pretty much would need. This here. Oh, this is a large enough grid. Okay. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 15, 20, 25 by 25 grid. So I gotta get we're just gonna go ahead and try to draw. This is going to be very. Can't really do anything with this. Apparently, I can rotate this. That's interesting feature. I just want my view to be just regular. Okay. Is there any way to unrotate the view here? Like, there's nothing to undo. It's just like literally I can view it at odd angles, and that's kind of cool. I don't know how useful that is really. That's actually kind of annoying. fit on screen, that helps me a lot. That's cool. The CMYK. Really. I just want to zoom and unzoom. I don't want to rotate. Apparently I can't actually move my view without. So anyway, we want to. I can't actually draw with freaking. So I don't know. I think I'm going to actually save here and call it a day for now. Because I need to like set this up basically. We could go survey room. Oh, survey room. Save. A little bit less than 2 hours, but still pretty good amount of progress. So I should continue playing Riven a bit later. I might play Riven until I beat it, then go back to Chrono Trigger. Like, this is kind of a shortish game, so like when you kind of know what you're doing and where to find everything. No, we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. You can follow us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That can help a lot, especially with a move coming up in a couple months or so, hopefully. You can do, besides that, you can do all of the other things that you can read down here. And until next time, sayonara.